Gonna like Little Nightmares 3. I remember I watched Pud play through Little Nightmares. And the third one's coming. New Nightmares from the Dark Picture Studios. Yes.
One of the biggest surprises during Gamescom Studio Opening Night Live was the announcement of the next entry in the Little Nightmares series. Here to
I have not played any of these, but I did watch Pud play the first one.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Is that who made the game?
Hi, thanks you for
Producer.
having us.
Now, first things first, we've got new protagonists. Can you tell us a little bit about these characters?
New
who they are,
protagonists.
and what sets them apart from Six and Mono?
Yeah, so in It's an Atmosphere, we have two new characters, which are Lo and Alone. So Lo is the one with the cape and the mask. He is here since a long time now, but he has never lost hope, and he's looking for a place that will bring him home. And Alone, she is the girl with the goggles and the helmet. So she is Lo's best friend, and she's also a tinkerer, and she's very curious, trying to find new secrets about the places that they will visit.
And you've added a very, very much requested feature, which is co-op. Can you tell us a little bit?
Oh, they added co-op.
Yeah,
What?
Co-op was one of the mostly asked feature from our community.
Yeah.
So we're already happy that we can implement it.
Because there was always like two
So,
characters.
in the game, you'll be able to play in online co-op with a friend.
There's online co-op for Little Nightmares 3.
Meaning that you only need one copy to play with a friend.
That's awesome. And
Yes.
does it has split
I got
screen or-
put on board. What do you mean? I'm saying I'll play with you.
We wanted to implement it that way because
They said it was the most
split screen
requested
with the
thing
universe
for
of
their
Atmos. We really
for their
wanted to keep
games.
that immersion, like that very atmospheric feeling that you will have.
Now, it looks like the characters can collect items. Can you tell about how that sort of fits in with the puzzles and how it goes with the theme of the game? And I guess any other new mechanics that they have?
Yeah, so that will happen sometimes in the game. You will be able to collect an item, use it for solving some puzzles, and then you will have to let it go. But the players will also have two new items. Each have their own. So Lo has the bow and arrow, and Alone has the wrench. And we are using them in order to create more puzzles and to promote like cooperations between the player and if you are playing in single player, between the player and the AI.
In terms of tone, can you set the stage a little bit and tell us about the setting of Little Nightmares 3?
Yeah, so in terms of tone, like each chapter will be very different. Each chapter has its own atmosphere, its own story, on
Pretty sure she's
she's
French.
To go through each of them, but they are all part of the same place in the nowhere. So the nowhere is the
I was trying to pin her accent this entire time, and I think it's French.
Locations of Stand Atmosphere are in the spiral, which you will be able to discover.
Now we got to look at some gameplay from is it the sort of city of the dead? It's kind of like a desert setting.
Yeah, the place that you can see in the gameplay is the Necropolis. So
Necropolis.
In that place, it was before the place where the dweller were living, but then the monster baby arrived, and well, she made the city what it is now. So you can see that there are some statues around. You can see that it is now very quiet, except from the beetles that will statue.
They got little umbrellas.
Very, like there's a lot of gloom and shadows, and it's very, kind of what people think of when they think more conventional nightmares. But from what we've seen in the Necropolis, it's very bright, like it's daytime in the desert. Can you tell us a little bit about the sort of the reasoning for the shift, and also some of the challenges with making matching that sort of
that's creepy as hell.
Vibe of the game while it's still in.
That's creepy as hell.
Yeah, so in the Necropolis, it was a challenge to have like a desert and like some light, much more light than what we have seen before. But at the same time, to keep what is the atmosphere and the DNA of the Little Nightmares games. So what we have done is that we have used a lot the environmental storytelling. So
they keep on showing this one scene with him or with her breaking out with the wrench.
That plus the music and the general atmosphere is what creates the unease feeling that you will have in that place. But the other chapters of the game will be very different, and you will be able to see some different places and some different locations that will show more.
Nice. Now, at this point, we kind of have a clear idea of what a Little Nightmares game is. I guess I'm curious what the sort of internal philosophy is. Like, what are the pillars of a Little Nightmares game? Like, what are the sort of, are there any rules that you can't break in terms of making this game? Like, you can't just turn it into like a, you know, a full-on, you know, like run and gun platformer or something. I guess how do you change?
Yeah, obviously,
keeping
what?
it, you know, true to the core idea.
Yeah, so Little Nightmares games have like main pillars, which are the darkness, the dystopian aspect of the society in general, and the hope, because there is always a light of hope. So we really want to keep these three main elements across the different games, and that's why what we are doing in Little Nightmares.
Nice. Now, some exciting news here is that Supermassive Games is working on this, and that's a studio that has an incredible track record making, I guess, what I call much larger nightmares, you know, big cinematic, realistic horror games. Can you talk a little bit about how the team's prior experience has affected Little Nightmares 3?
Yeah, so it's.
I don't know Supermassive too well.
Games. They have an extensive knowledge of horror in general, but they also understand very well and very deeply the franchise. Like, they are all really passionate about it, and they worked hard in order to get into it and to like use their knowledge from previous games. And so that goes from the horror, but also the fact that they implemented like multiplayer in the previous games in order to like bring them into the franchise with their own eyes.
Cool. Now, fans have done a lot of sort of digging and picking
His reaction. Cool.
part of Little Nightmares. I like that there's just a lot of mystery to it. Can you just kind of blow some of that mystery away and tell us where Little Nightmares 3 takes place on the timeline, sort of chronologically?
Not really. Like, it's something we really want the player to figure out by themselves,
Yeah.
like where we are in the timeline.
I figured you
and
wouldn't
so we
answer
want
that
them
question.
to dig into that.
Now, there have been, you know, in addition to the 2, soon to be 3 console games and the mobile game, there have been some comics, and now there's going to be a new sort of transmedia experience, which is going to add to the universe. It's just audio only, is that right?
Yeah, it is a podcast. Yeah.
A
Tell me how
podcast.
that works, because I feel like this is an extremely, like, you know,
A Little Nightmares
all about environmental
podcast?
storytelling and visuals. I guess how do you match that tone, and what does the podcast sound like?
Yeah, sure. So the podcast will take place in the counties. So Little Nightmares lore is quite extensive, in fact. So
Little Nightmares lore is
So,
extensive, she
the
says.
podcast is in the counties, which is the real world, but the nowhere is the place that the video games are showing right now. The nowhere is like the nightmares. So in the podcast, you're in the counties and you listen to Noon, which is a little girl who has night terrors. So she goes to a psychiatric hospital and she talks to Otto, a counselor, and she tells her nightmares, basically. And so Otto will try to dig into that and to understand what is going on and what is the nowhere and the secrets of it.
Wow,
Wow.
sounds really creepy to listen to a child
That
talk
does
about nightmares on a
sound
podcast,
very
but I'm sure
interesting.
fans will be super into that. Carly, thank you so much for joining us. Before we go, can you tell us when players can get their hands on Little Nightmares 3?
Yeah,
Yeah,
when?
so the game will release in 2024. It would be on
2024.
PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC.
Nice. It's going to be on everything.
The podcast, when is that premiering?
Yeah, when's the podcast out?
So the 2 first episodes are available like right now in the
Oh,
Game Store.
wow.
Awesome.
The,
Thank you so
the
much
two
for
first
joining us.
video,
Look forward to Little
two
Nightmares.
first audio
Yeah.
podcasts are available already. If you guys are interested, check it out. The lore goes deep. Apparently, it's about kids. Every story is about a different kid, from my understanding. That it has night horrors, and this is the Nothing. This is like the area that they're in is called the Nothing. It goes deep. Apparently, I didn't know. Little Nightmares 3, 2024.